help the...
Welcome to Moving Through and Beyond, a podcast dedicated to sharing inspired journeys of redefining life, vision, and purpose after immense hardship and grief. My goal with this podcast is to give you hope and to let my guest journeys inspire you to make the choice to keep looking up. I'm your host, Carey Conley. Hi, everyone. Today, I'm joined by a very dear friend of mine, Sue Frederick, who has personally walked me through helping me with my own trauma and healing process and is just such a light in this world. And I want to tell you a little bit about her. Sue is a channel, clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairaudient who receives wisdom from guides and departed loved ones to help others heal through grief and find purpose. After suffering her own tragic loss, Sue became a sacred numerology practitioner and intuitive coach to help people realign with their soul's purpose. She has written over 11 books and has been featured on many TV interviews and radio shows, and also is an ordained unity minister. I am honored to have this conversation with Sue. Sue, I am so excited to have you here with me, my friend. You guys, I am just blown away by what this woman has done for me in the area of healing in my loss. Truly came into my life right at a moment, very divine moment where she helped me through a lot of stuff, and I'm already choking up.
Oh, Carey, I love you so much, honey.
Don't make me cry. We got to get through this, right? So anyway, I am just excited for you to be here to share with everybody what you bring to the world, because truly you give people peace in areas of their, especially in loss, that I don't think a whole lot of counseling can do, Sue. And I really would love for you to kind of share a little bit about your story and, you know, how you came to be doing this in your life.
Well, that is so sweet of you to say that. I mean, grief has been my greatest spiritual teacher, as you and I have talked about before. It certainly woke me up when I was 29 years old and my husband died in my arms of cancer. And, you know, I've been on the journey of spiritual seeking to find out what is the truth about death and where do our beloveds go and why are we still here? And I'm happy to say that all these decades later, I'm able to help grieving people answer those questions.
Well, you've certainly done that for me, Sue. I mean, it's just, so I'm going to tell them a little bit of how you and I met, and then you can dive a little bit more deeper into it. So I heard you speak at an event here in Arizona. I don't even know what year this was. I'm going to guess it was around 2019 or 20.
Yes, that's when it was, 2019.
Yeah. Because I knew it was pre-COVID. Everything is either pre-COVID, COVID, or post-COVID, right?
Right.
And in 20 minutes, you just blew my mind. And then afterwards, I had a table set up there that day because I was promoting a workshop. And at the end, you offered to do everybody's numbers with their birth dates. And I was the last one leaving the room, and you sat me down and did mine. And it was mind-blowing. And I thought, okay, this woman is amazing. And we have had a couple sessions together since then. And I want you to dive a little bit more into that. You know, what does that mean to be a numerologist?
Well, you know, when Paul died in my arms, I was turning 30 and I was wondering, like, why am I still on earth now? What is my purpose? And the one thing that came into my life at that time, and this was 1980, was numerology. Someone sat down with me and did a numerology reading for me, and it made such a difference. It just answered all those questions, like, where did they go? Why am I still here? You know, what is my purpose? And I'd been in counseling, grief therapy, all that stuff, and it was not helping. And it was only when I was able to sit down and see it through sacred numerology that I was able to go, it's a life plan. And I chose it for my soul's growth and to help others grow. And Paul chose it for his reasons and his soul's growth. And it was the first time that I began to understand this was not random and tragic. And, you know, I'd grown up Catholic, but then I'd also studied a lot of other kinds of traditions. And so Catholics did not answer that question for me. They didn't have the answers that felt true. And so through sacred numerology and studying Buddhism, Hinduism, Course in Miracles, Unity Church, and all kinds of spirituality, I really came to the understanding that, yeah, we create a soul plan before we come in. And our departed, when they cross, they are not dead. They're actually more alive than ever, and they want to help us. And my beloved husband, Paul, has come back so many times to keep me on track with my work and teach me more things. And, you know, I love working with grieving moms because your beloved children want to help you. And so they're so active and so vital from the veil. The veil is so thin now. And so I get to help people not only connect to their departed, but see their soul mission, understand what their purpose is now.
Right. And we need to be reminded of this all the time, Sue. I mean, literally, if I could, I would have a session with you daily because it's so hard when you're dealing with the trauma and you're dealing with all the things here on earth that are so challenging to stay connected.
Carey,
right?
You are stronger than any person I know on earth. So it kind of blows me away that you're telling me that I've helped you, because I feel like
oh my
you
gosh,
just have been a light and just so enlightened and aware since the moment I met you. And the other thing that we should tell everyone is that last August, I walked into that Helping Parents Heal conference, which was the life-changing event for so many people. And I was there to speak. And there you were. You were one of the first people I saw. I was so happy to see you there. And we basically spent the rest of the conference together.
That was, such a divine intervention because I was not supposed to be at that conference. You had introduced me to Elizabeth Bassan, who I've had on here. The founder of Helping Parents Heal. It's an amazing organization, you all. If you don't know about it, go find them. Truly amazing. You had introduced me to her via Facebook a year before, and I never acted on that until a month before the conference. And so I reached out to her. We had a conversation. She told me about the conference, but she said two things. We have no more tickets for this one.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, no problem. And then they called me the next day and said, we have a ticket for you. And then she said, but we don't have a room. Second thing. I said, no problem. I'll find some place to stay. They called me the next day. We have a room for you. Like,
so okay, good.
Truly so driven by Cole, my son.
Yes.
Who is very active in my life, as you know.
Cole wanted you there.
Yes. But it interests me when people say how strong I am, Sue, because I'm becoming aware that that's maybe not such a good thing. It would benefit me more if I was a little less, I'm just going to push through this and it's going to be okay,
Except, Carey, your soul chose the Taurus sun sign. And what I always tell the clients who've chosen that is maybe in a past life, you didn't have that strength and you let things kind of overwhelm you and you got lost. And this time you chose Taurus because you wanted to be able, just like you've done in your life, Carey, to keep looking up, to keep seeking the light, to keep trying to understand it in a new way and then help others. And that strength in you, the Taurus can be softer as we grow, but you've also got the 5 numerology path, right? Isn't that your path? I can't remember. I think it is. And that's a path of a courageous heart, of expansion, of change. And so you blend that together and the Taurus becomes the fuel. And then the courageous heart that you have becomes the way you process and the way you help others.
It's just so interesting. I turned 61 this year, Sue, and I'm just now starting to become aware of things I was never aware of before. And if you would have told me, everybody, that I would be listening to all of this right now and really taking it in and acting on it, like even 5 years ago, I would have gone, yeah, no, whatever. But everything that you are able to do for people, Sue, and you are able to work with them, do their numbers, and help guide them to their people on the other side, right? It's just so healing. And it just resonated with me. And this is, challenging too, because as you know, I come from a Christian background. I am a Christian. And I want you to expand on that a little bit, because it was interesting to me how at the conference they talked about how this all comes together. And to me, it just makes so much sense.
I mean, yes, I became a unity minister and went through 4 years of study, of ministry studies, so I could go back and learn the history of Christianity and learn the original Aramaic text that Jesus actually said in the Bible. And what you learn when you go back and look at the original text, that Jesus talked about reincarnation. He did not say a lot of that stuff about you can only be saved through me. I mean, that was created hundreds of years after Jesus had lived. And what we know from talking to our beloveds on the other side and God and our guides is that this is an all good, all God loving universe. There is no punishing God. There is no hell. And so if your child took their own life, they are as happy and healthy and alive and vital on the other side as a child who died from cancer, let's say. And so many people who are educated in that fundamentalist Christianity, they suffer so much when they lose a child through taking their own life, because they're told that horrible story that, oh, your child went to hell. I mean, that right there tells you that that's not in alignment with God consciousness. Your beautiful son, he's a great teacher. All these beautiful children who are on the other side, they are helping people on earth. They are evolving consciousness. They are divine beings. That is our true nature.
Yeah, it's interesting. I am still a woman of faith. I read my Bible, and I journal and everything. Because I still am very, very connected to God in a very personal way. It's one of the things that has gotten me through everything I've been through. And I say that rarely, that it's my faith that I've leaned on a lot.
Right.
But also having people like you show up in my life and be able to say how much my husband and my son are still there. And not only are they here, but they're wanting to guide and help. And I think that is such an important message to share with people. And, I also know, Sue, that we all have this gift, but it's just some of us.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something I've written about in all of my books. I never set out to call myself a medium, because I always felt from the moment Paul crossed and he was so clear and coming back constantly, and then Chrissy and then my dad, I knew that I couldn't be different from others. I knew that everybody had that ability. It's just that our logic mind starts talking us out of it the minute it begins to happen. And we get so used to dismissing that as not logical, not true, that we shut down that gateway, that portal to divine consciousness. And yet when we accept it as a loving expression of God consciousness, as something good to help us, and we don't be afraid of it or think it's just, baloney, then we've opened that connection, and we all have our posse of spirits and spirit guides and God all coming through to help us, because it's a divine order universe. We're all here to evolve and help each other evolve. And so it's a good universe. It's all happening in our favor, not to hurt us.
If somebody listening to this, Sue, is really struggling with this, and they're really, like me, wanting to have more peace, especially if they've lost a loved one, where would you invite them to start? Obviously, you've written over 11 books, and your newest one just came out, right? You want to talk about that book for a minute? Yeah.
Land.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I guess, if they're going to start somewhere, this is my newest book, and it has so many practices for the everyday person to see that we've got these two parts. One part, we have our feet in the physical world, 1 foot in the physical, and 1 foot in the divine world, because we're divine beings who came to earth for a brief journey here. And so we're walking both, because we can't just be in the divine realm when we're here. We wouldn't be able to do the laundry. We wouldn't be able to make a living. And so we've got to have that logical, physical part of ourselves here. But the problem is, when we come in as children, we are very aware of our divinity and our connection to God. And then we sort of get talked into the logic world, into only trusting what is logical and practical and all of that. I mean, I certainly had those messages drilled to me growing up in the 50s, and I would come to the dinner table as a child and share my precognitive dream that actually would come true later in the day. And my family said very quickly, Sue, you better not tell anybody about that stuff. Or, you know, in the Catholic Church, it's just as bad as any other church. That's called the work of the devil, which is so insane because it comes in with pure love. There's nothing dark about intuition. There's nothing dark about beautiful spirits on the other side connecting to us. And so we each go through a journey, though, of shutting that down. But then when our own beloved crosses over, we have to find a different answer because we know what we're experiencing. No matter how much we try to shut it down, they're going to come to us in dreams. They're going to come to us in signs. They're going to tell us in so many ways that they're great, they're doing fine, and that they love us eternally.
See, even just talking to you right now, I feel so much better, so much lighter, right? And I do know this. Logically, I do know this. I know that when I slow down and I take a breath and I let my heart really listen, I get signs, and I can literally feel my loved ones, right? Especially my son. I think he had more the gift, Sue, than I knew.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
When I did his chart with you, I remember talking about his incredible sensitivity. If I remember correctly, he was the 11 master soul, very sensitive soul. And so he was always leaning more into the divine than into the physical. And often souls like that, they can't stay here long. This earth is too dense and hard and painful for them. I always tell the moms, the most evolved souls that come to earth, they usually don't stay for a long life. And here I am 71, so I can say I'm clearly not evolved. I'm here to learn because I'm still ticking,
Oh my gosh, girl, you look like you're 42.
No, that's so all amazing. The light.
It is all the light. I was going to say it's just the love that's beaming out of you, right?
Aww.
Well, I love that you have written all these books, and I love that you make yourself available to people to have sessions with them. And I encourage people to do that with you if they are really thinking, could this be helpful to me? Because like I've said, I went into it going, I can't believe I'm doing this. Right.
I know. Even when I saw you at the Helping Parents Heal conference, like you were very cautious, and I'd be sitting next to you listening to a speaker and you were just very cautiously, like thinking, what did I get myself into? Let me listen to this. And then by the end of the conference, you were completely different. You were opened in a way that I had never actually seen you be so open. And it was magnificent to watch and to experience.
Well, again, it was just a divine appointment that I was there because, taking that and being able to work on myself more, Sue, and be more connected in that way helps me do the work that I do with other people around vision and hope and purpose. Right. And so every person, including you, my friend, who has helped me get better daily, I believe I'm helping other people in a way that I never thought possible.
You have such an influence. I mean, when we talk about your strength and you say, well, I need to soften up, of course, we all need to learn and evolve as we go through life. It's all a process of growth. But that strength in you allows you to be the leader that you are, to affect so many thousands of people, to help people open their heart and trust what they feel and what they know to be true in spite of whatever dogma they've been told. You have a gift to help the world in this way.
Now, you touched on a couple of things that I wanted to circle back around to about children, because I now have a 3-year-old grandson and a 6-month-old grandson.
Wow.
And I am super aware of how connected that my little 3-year-old grandson is to his authentic self right now.
Yes.
But it's at this point where now he's becoming, humanized
Right. Yes.
But I keep thinking, oh, I hope we're saying the right things to him, and letting him be. They're really good. My daughter and her husband were born to be parents.
Yeah.
So they just they are aware of the words and his emotions, letting him feel his emotions, be who he is.
Yes.
And I think that is so important with our kids right now, don't you think?
I remember, yes, the kids coming in right now are most highly evolved. They're more highly evolved than us, and they've come in to change the world in huge ways. I don't think we're going to be able to even talk them out of their connection to the higher realms. They're coming in to change everything up for the better here, But my daughter is turning 30 in October, and she's always been very intuitive. But she had to walk in the world as well. So there was a time when she really rejected my teachings and my beliefs because she had to find her way. But now she's becoming an acupuncturist. She has a master's in spiritual psychology. I'm so proud of her. But when she was little, I'll never forget, we were grieving my father. My father had crossed, and I think Sarah was only like 3 years old. And we were all sitting in the living room, and my father had already shown me he was okay, but the rest of my family was very shut down to that. And so we were all sitting in the living room, and my family was crying about Dad. And Sarah comes into the room. She's like 3 years old, and she goes, "What is everybody crying about?" And my brother says, "Well, we're all sad because Grandpa just died." And she looked at us with the most innocence and purity and said, "No, he's not gone. I just saw him fly by the window, and he was happy, and he looked great." And when she said that, they just all went, "Ah." And my brother was like, "Tell me what you saw, Sarah," and it really opened them to realize, Dad is actually great. It's us that are feeling the pain.
This is the truth. Everybody I talk to that's like you, every book that I read, we're the problem.
We're the problem, right? We're the ones who are all confused about why we're here.
And how much sorrow we carry all the time that we don't need to keep carrying because it makes them sad. Right?
That's the truth, and I have to say that took me a long time to learn because I lost Paul and then Chrissy and then my dad. By the time I was in my mid-30s, I'd lost so many people that were so close. Were the most important people to me, and they were gone. And so I was very sad, and they would come through and tell me things and teach me things. And in every dream, they were always there. But then I would be like, but then why do I have to be here without you? And it made me so sad to be in this world. And it was only when I began to understand that, I was here to help others, that I needed to shift out of my own grief. When I'm not telling anybody to do that before they're ready, but when they felt it enough that they're ready to be able to shift, to get on the side of being the healer helper. And once we do that, that sadness dissipates because every day, Carey, I get to talk to spirit with my clients, and they are such positive beings. They're giving us so much uplifting love. They never have anything sad to say. They just want us to grow and thrive and live from the heart here and to love one another. And when you're constantly hearing that message and feeling that, you are more blessed than anyone on earth because that's the truth of the divine lens world.
What a gift that is for you every day, Sue. I would love that.
It is. And Carey, you are headed towards even greater expressions of your own work.
Thank you. I've been told that a lot lately, and I can feel that. I just know that there's still some healing to do. And I've been pretty open about that lately. So it's just interesting to me.
That's good, Carey.
Yeah.
You got to feel it to heal it.
I know it, girl. It's just, it's hard work. It's the hardest work. But I want to touch on something because I noticed you posting some things, I don't know, about a week or two ago that I think we should address, that you don't ever get to a point where it's all all the time.
No.
I know that you had most recently been feeling the loss of your husband, Paul, again.
Yeah, let's talk about that. It's so important. My husband died on July 13th. I think it was 1980. I sometimes get those years mixed up, but I'm pretty sure it was 1980 when he crossed. Yeah, it's been a while. And I am not in a state of grief where I'm longing for him to be here, because I totally accept that my life had to go through that so I could be who I am and do the work that I am. And I have an incredible husband, Gene, 2 grown kids. My life is magnificent. And yet every July 13th, the veil is gone, and I feel Paul's presence so powerfully, and I cry. I mean, Gene, my husband, is always kidding me. He goes, "You forget every year because you come and tell me, oh my God, I'm so emotional. I'm just crying for no reason." And I have to remind you, it's July, and you always go through this feeling of experiencing that grief again. And I believe the purpose of it for all of us at that anniversary of the crossing is to get us back in touch with those spirits for healing, for messages. And Paul came through this year, 43 years after he crossed. And if I can tell that story quickly, Gene was like, "Come on, we got to get you out of the house and, pep you up." And we went to Cave Creek, and we were just walking through art galleries and stuff. And we went into this one store, and right smack in the door was the sign that Paul had always given me when we fell in love. It was the crescent moon with the star in the middle. And he said, "You are the star and I'm the moon." And that was our love expression. And he bought me a necklace with the crescent moon and the star. And that night of his service, in July of 1980, we were outside at the service, and a friend nudged me, and I looked up, and right in the middle of the sky was the crescent moon with the star of Jupiter in the middle of the crescent moon. It's a rare configuration. And there it was at our celebration of life ceremony for Paul, which still blows my mind. And so as we walked into Cave Creek Art Gallery, this huge piece of artwork with the golden crescent moon and the star in the middle was greeting us at the door. And it was so powerful that I just went, "Thank you, Paul." He was just reminding me that all is well, and Gene was like, "Well, we're going to have to buy that and bring that home." And we did.
I wondered about that. I'm so glad you did. Yeah.
It's in our family room over the chimney. And that's another thing I want to say to grieving people. It's okay to share these things and talk about them, even if you're in a new relationship. Like Gene knows that Paul was my spiritual awakening. He's not in any way threatened by that. He loves having that star and moon over the fireplace, And as we share from the heart that way, if a soul is supposed to be in our life now as a new partner, they're going to totally get it and not in any way be threatened by it.
I wholeheartedly agree. And that's one of the things you find when you go through loss is who's, Laurel and I, when we wrote our book, Keep Looking Up, so we have chapters in there of what we learned. And one of the chapters we wrote was how to find your super safe people. Because after losing my husband and then losing my son, we realized that there was a small group of people who really understood what we were going through and can honor that and teach us more things like this, right? So
what you have walked through, Carey, is so, I only believe that highly evolved souls agree to these really hard awakening calls. And you are truly a highly evolved soul that you agreed to the journey you've walked. That's why you needed all that Taurus strength so you could keep going. But you're right. As we go through these, we get to pick our people, and our people have to be people who see it in a helpful, healing way, like Elizabeth Boisson. She is the angel of the world, the founder of Helping Parents Heal. And my miracle was when Gene got cancer and we moved here to Scottsdale, Arizona, so he could be at Mayo Clinic, and he's doing great. He's a miracle healed person right now. And Elizabeth and the Helping Parents Heal people, I met them and I had no idea who they were till I got here. And now they're like my best friends and we're all completely spiritually aligned. And I'm thinking, gosh, who gets to have new best friends in their 70s? I'm so blessed, you know?
Oh my gosh. I love your energy, Sue, seriously. And I know that you are helping so many people deal with some pretty tough stuff, and not only helping them on this side, but also helping them awaken, I guess is the word, into their greatness, right?
Just remember their greatness. You know, we've all got it in us. We've just let the world make us forget.
Right. Well, you are so dear to me and my daughter, who I know you've done readings for as well.
Yes.
Might need to bring her back to you. She's living an amazing life right now, Sue. It's just really great to see. Yeah. So.
She's an amazing mom. I can tell from even her posts and everything. Those children are so blessed.
Yeah, they're pretty fun. So I want to thank you again for this conversation. I know how busy you are right now with your launch of your new book. I hope people that will seek you out, if any of this resonated with them and they feel in their heart that they just need somebody to help them connect. Right. And even grow their own gift.
My website is SueFrederick.com, and they can go there for more information. And my books are also all available on Amazon.
Yeah. Well, thank you, my friend. You truly are a light in my life.
Thank you,
I appreciate
sweetheart.
our time today. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please share it with a friend or a family member. In order to be successful on this mission, I can't do it alone. Connect with me at www.careyconley.com. And don't forget to sign up for my weekly Do It On Purpose newsletter. Let's build this life-giving vision movement together to end this epidemic, save lives, and create purpose.